Picture this, two guys trapped in the South Charleston Public Library. One guy loves movies, the other, well, he'd rather be watching reality TV. Can they survive each other's films? Find out on Real Opposites, a library podcast about movies, hosted by Josh and Aaron from the South Charleston Public Library.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to The Real Opposites. I'm Aaron.
And I'm Josh.
And we're back to discuss the movies that we chose last podcast. I chose Blumhouse's Truth or Dare. I know, right?
And I chose Bernard Rose's 1992 Candyman.
So, I guess we're going to start with Blumhouse's Truth or Dare. Yeah, it is. So I chose this movie because I remember liking it when I originally watched it. I like a lot of Blumhouse's stuff, but also I like a scary movie that's just kind of fun a little bit. It's not super serious. It's kind of one that you can just throw on and listen to or watch a little bit. Like I don't know. I just like those kind, which I guess I like those kind of movies all the time. Yeah. But anyways, so Truth or Dare is basically a harmless game of truth or dare among friends turns deadly when someone or something begins to punish those who tell a lie or refuse the dare.
Wait, that's
so descriptive.
I mean,
they really sell it. Like, man, I want to watch that movie.
Right.
Man, I just...
Well, in case that didn't pull you in, it does start with Lucy Hale, Pretty Little Liars, and Tyler Posey, Teen Wolf, lead the cast.
Oh, yeah, that's really working for me.
Lead the cast of Blumhouse's Truth or Dare, a supernatural thriller from Blumhouse Productions.
Blumhouse.
Blumhouse.
So
why did you choose this?
Well, like I said, I think it's just fun, thriller, scary movie kind of thing. More lighthearted, which in all my movies, I think I kind of like something like that. Just that I can throw in, my ADHD can kick in, and I'm not gonna
you can tune out if you need to.
Yeah, and I kind of wanted to see it again. I've only seen it once, and originally I actually did only watch it because Lucy Hale was in it. Because, and don't judge me, I was a huge fan of the Pretty Little Liars TV show. I thought it was really good. So, yeah. Oh, we need a little cricket button.
We used to have them, and it used to be great.
Yeah.
When you guys would have a long pause, and I
really
was editing.
Would be crickets.
And then it would just stop, and all of a sudden you just hear chirp, 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 chirp. And I was like, oh my God. But I always cut that because,
Well, maybe that's the next thing, a cricket button, now that we've got our cough buttons.
Yeah, we just need a sound effects button.
Yeah. Oh, I need a sound effects button.
I don't know if you do. We might have been a bad idea.
But anyways, so that's why I chose Truth or Dare.
Okay. So you haven't seen it since it came out?
I hadn't.
Since
which was
2018?
Yeah.
Because it feels like it came out 10 years ago. We talked about that last time. It feels like it's very... I thought we were past this as a species.
Mm-hmm.
Horror movie.
Oh, okay. Huh.
So what did you think watching it again?
I mean, there was some cheesy stuff, for sure. But overall, I liked it still. Honestly. Some of the deaths are cool.
Cool story, bro. Tell me, what did you like? What is there something about the force or whatever that kind of
I think
them,
it builds a suspense on not knowing. I don't know, just like Truth or Dare in general. When you're playing, if you don't know what the other person's going to say, you never know what that response is going to be to your truth or dare, and I think that builds a little bit of suspense. But I think it also just, I don't know, some of the deaths, the guy that shoves the pin in his eye and then bangs his head against the wall. That was pretty cool.
I mean, if we're just talking the death, one at the bar where he trips on the pool table, on the 8-ball, and, lands and cracks his neck, and
I
was like, oh, okay, that's a kill.
Yeah. What'd you think?
So I watched it
and loved it,
and at the end, during the ending, which is by far one of the cringiest endings I've ever seen in my life.
Mm.
I let out an audible, ugh. I was just so like, it's over. Thank you. This was atrocious.
Yeah.
I really hated it. Kind of, I mean, it didn't take long for me to just be like, okay, it's just another one of these. It feels like just some like little quick, like 3-sentence idea someone had.
Yeah.
And unmercifully lengthened to 95 minutes or 100. It felt like 4 hours. This is the longest hour and 45 minutes I've ever sat through in my life. Because I got home after work and I'm like, okay, fix me some food, and I sit down and watch it. And then I'm like, wait, why isn't this over yet? And I looked at checked the time on it. I was like, oh God, okay, just 10 minutes.
Well, I will back you up when you said it seems like an idea that then they stretched out. And that's basically what happened. I watched some of the extras, and they literally said they were approached. The director was approached, and they said, if you could make a movie that we can title Truth or Dare, that'd be great.
Well, that's a real 80s kind of canon vibe. Like, we have a title. We might have an actor. Yeah, there we go.
That's exactly how this one came about.
We can sell the movie that way. Yep. Except it doesn't have any of the charm of 80s horror movies. Yeah. It doesn't have a relatable character. I can't tell anybody apart in the movie. Everyone looks like they popped out of an Abercrombie and Fitch ad.
True.
Which really bugs me. There's a certain point in film where they stopped casting real people that looked like people you would just that or see in the street. They started casting everybody from, especially in the horror genre. But I mean, it's not limited to that. From modeling agencies, and
I mean, Kim Kardashian's in the newest American Horror Story.
Oh, God.
Right.
So it's just I mean, they all look the same. I understand Lucy Hale. I don't think I've seen her in anything, but I recognize her, and everyone else just looks like they could totally be interchangeable.
Yeah, I think the only two people I knew was the ones listed on the back.
I don't know the
Tyler Posey and Lucy Hale.
I guess Lucy Hale is in Scream 4.
Yes, she is in Scream 4.
And yeah, that's right.
She's one of the fake entrant openings.
Oh, is she?
Fantasy
Okay,
Island,
I guess that's the only.
Fantasy Island was
with the same director too as this.
Yeah,
it has a lot of the same problems as a lot of these kind of PG-13 horror movies aimed at 19-year-olds.
Yeah,
or younger
or older.
Well.
Mentally you're not 19 years old.
You love horror, but you're not very well versed in the classics horror structures. True. I'm trying to educate you.
Oh, okay.
But so it's if you're looking for a movie like a horror movie that has something to say, Talk to Me, for instance. That's why I liked it so much. Or if you're looking for just a gore fest, like Hostel or something like that, it meets none of those. It doesn't work in anything like that. It just exists. It makes a good trailer probably. But it's not really a film. And for I feel like the main influence is Final Destination.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways, but it doesn't have those memorable sequences or how they will in those movies. They'll prolong the sequence to the point where you're just okay, somebody's going to die. I don't know where it's going to happen.
Right.
And they're very suspenseful. And then when it does happen, it's it's very quick.
Yeah.
This has none of that. Except for the bar one was the only time I was oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't see that coming.
I think the only one that they kind of prolonged was the one I mentioned about the pin in the eye.
Yeah.
Because you think he's been asked the question and then he shows up out of the office, but then he gets called back in and then that's when it happens. But yeah, I mean, I agree. It's definitely not on the level of Final Destination. I like that it has that kind of feel idea behind it.
Yeah, I mean, at least it's not a slasher, I guess, but if you're going to make the movie like this, fully commit to it and really have something to say. Or just make it really suspenseful. There's no overall cinematic technique that's really grabbing me. It just is it's there.
Right.
It exists. It's in there. It's on a screen in front of me. Things are happening. I don't care about anything that's happening. Also, one of the things. So there's two other things I want to say. How much I hate this.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. You don't have to like every movie. I don't like most of yours.
The stupid CG mouth face filter thing they did.
Oh yeah.
On people is just the dumbest. I was really? This is what you're doing?
I was reading the trivia and it's extra stupid because Tyler Posey can pretty much do it without the CGI.
Yeah,
And
I mean,
they still like put the CGI on him to make
Huh.
it consistent.
there was part of me that was like, is that just their smile? Or and there was a couple people when it happened to them, it was like, okay, yeah, it's definitely digital.
Right.
And then their eyes go red. And I'm like, yeah, this is really dumb. But it just is very, like, is this supposed to be creepy? Like, it reminds me of like one of those things you see like 20 years ago, like the videos that would be like a yard, and then it would just be like, something pop out, you know?
Oh my God, I hated that. Like, I hated those.
I send those all the time.
I guess the smile was meant to be modeled on William Dafoe's smile, and also like, there is a facial deformation that makes you
Yeah.
smile like that.
I mean, I see that. I mean, it definitely looks like a William Dafoe or Joker kind of smile.
Yeah.
And then that ending with her like daring the world or whatever was just what?
Well,
And it
I
looked
think-
like. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, all I was going to say is I think the whole point of that, because I actually forgot the ending. I thought it ended different. But I think the whole point in that was, well, one, they could continue to live because if everybody in the world's playing, nobody has to take a second turn. But also because I think it was like a progression of her character, Lucy Hale's character, who I think is the only one that had a little bit of a progression at all, to be honest, because she was so moral. She had so many moral things, and then at the end she had to put it on the whole world. Like at the beginning, she's asked if you had to kill everybody sitting here, the 8 of us, or everyone in the world, and we get to survive. She chose the 8 of them because she would not put that on the world. And then at the end, they do the opposite.
It's a typical final girl. Like she's the moral center of the movie.
Right. But I mean, I did like that it kind of gave her an arc of some sort,
I guess.
But I will say, I mean, I agree with you in the fact that there's not a lot of character progression. There's not.
Well, I mean, it just like, I mean, for the most part, the movie's pretty focused on just them.
Yeah.
And like they're, it's very in Final Destination mode. And then it just suddenly is just like, and it looks like it doesn't look like footage they actually shot. It looks like stock footage that they got of people like looking at their phones or computers, like seeing them, and then they just superimpose the.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
And it's just like, this looks so dumb.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And I mean, whatever suspense you might have been feeling, I feel that whole ending just completely undercuts anything you might have felt.
Yeah.
Because I mean, for one thing, it's not realistic. It's not. I mean, it's not believable that everyone in the world's going to watch this video.
No.
Yeah.
And it's going to spread like a virus or something. It's not.
You don't know. She could have been like an influencer. You always have a YouTube
she was
following. Yeah.
She did have a YouTube, so that's like part of that as well.
Yeah. But I mean, like,
But yeah, still,
this tribe in Africa is not
right. Exactly.
your YouTube video.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like I hated it. Sorry.
Yeah, that's fine.
This is.
I mean, go ahead.
It's definitely the worst horror movie you've recommended.
Yeah.
And it's definitely up there with Tammy.
Yeah.
Pretty ugly. I
Oof.
really hated this movie.
Oh man.
Oh.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I've talked enough.
It's fine. I was just going to say that, I mean, clearly, is it a masterpiece? No. But I think it's fun. That's my main thing, is I just think it's one of those fun movies. I mean, I was hoping you'd like it so you wouldn't have to hate it, but, I could see you hating it.
So it's just kind of like one of those turn your brain off and just throw it on.
Yeah.
Kind of.
I like those kind of movies.
I don't mind them every once in a while, but I still need some sort of like
something.
This either a nostalgia hook or some sort of charm or some performance, or I mean, even in like crappy like canon horror movies or whatever, like there's still some level of they're at least attempting to create, like there's a sustained suspense sequence or something. And this just felt like it had no thought put into how it was presented or how it was. It made me just like, I'm gonna watch Final Destination.
That's the exact feeling I got when I was done.
I want to see
be
the
honest.
good version of this.
Yeah, I really wanted to watch Final Destination, which I need to do soon.
Did you guys play Truth or Dare?
While I watched the movie?
No, like as children.
Well, I watched it alone, so I couldn't do that.
I was going to say I watched them myself. My cat didn't really truth or dare me.
I mean, as children.
That would have been a better premise.
My cat truth or daring me.
Your cat is suddenly the demon.
But then, so no, that would be a good premise. Then you're like, wait, is this guy nuts? Like he's thinking his cat's truth or daring him.
Right, that's true.
And I could see that work.
I'm sure, yes. At some point in my life, I have played truth or dare.
I don't know. I was just going to ask, like, if you remember playing Truth or Dare as a kid, what's a truth or a dare that you wouldn't do when you were a child?
I mainly just chose truth.
Yeah, I was.
Because
that
I'm
kid.
not much of a...
Yeah, were you a dare? Yeah, I was also
I'm a
gonna
very
ask that.
open
Were you
book
a dare
anyways,
or a
so-
truth person?
I don't remember ever playing.
I was a truth person.
I was a truth person. I'm not.
Yeah.
It's not that I'm not daring. I just.
I'm not going to run down the street with my clothes off. And I feel like that's what everybody's go-to dare
Yeah,
was
especially
back
like
in
if
the
you're
day.
in high school or something.
Yeah.
It's like,
Even
there's some
college.
form of like you're showing your butt.
Yeah.
Along the way.
So I was a
Or
truth
you're going to
person
kiss
100%.
somebody or.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. I just always feel like teenage truth or dare is that, and I feel like most people play truth or dare for truth.
Oh, for sure.
100%. Like
Yeah.
that's why you play truth or dare as a kid, is to elicit information from
Yeah.
other people.
As long as they're being truthful, which I always was, and that you never know what people's going to ask when you say truth. Like that,
No.
that could be a whole thing.
I was-
Yeah, I don't remember playing a whole lot. I remember more Never Have I Ever
Oh yeah.
kind of games.
Yeah.
I didn't play any of these, I guess.
I played
Yeah.
Never Have I Ever in college.
I did
in high
too.
school, I routinely, I guess, won or lost. I don't know. Whatever it is where you put no finger, like where you're absolutely the least of doing things.
Oh, me too. That's why I used to love Never Have I Ever. Because I would win every time.
I was
I would
like,
put no fingers down.
I won because I'm boring. In college, no, in college it was more like I could
Yeah.
actually play. But I don't know. I was just wondering if you guys remembered like a truth or a dare. You were like, absolutely not gonna do that.
Yeah, I think
That you would share
something-
now as an adult.
Yeah. I think something like this could do well if which I liked it. But I mean, overall, I see where Josh is coming from. And if they had done more, I like the concept. I like the concept of taking a game that young people play and it becoming more than a game.
Yeah, well, I mean, you just need to explore like what's the common human problem
Mm-hmm.
or thematic, device that's at the core of the film.
Yeah.
Like, there needs to be some sort of, I mean, kind of like Talk to Me. Talk to Me is about dealing with addiction. Like there needs
Right.
to be something else
Something else there.
because otherwise it's just. I mean, Final Destinations work because of just the skill behind the camera,
Mm-hmm.
because of the sustained suspense. Like they really know how to plan the sequences and I mean, you generally like each movie. It's like it's a slasher movie. Like you have a new set of 8 people or whatever.
Right.
And, most of them are going to get killed off. Probably all of them.
Yeah.
But the fact that it's like what's going to happen, but you don't know when, like that makes those films fun.
Right.
They don't really have much else to say, but they're just those are fun horror movies.
Did
Right, that's
anyone
true.
Watch the 2017 Truth or Dare.
What?
There was a Truth or Dare that came out the year before. Like this is a remake of a
Brittany-
movie from literally a year before.
With Brittany. No, that was Would You Rather.
Cassandra Sarsbo.
I don't know.
No idea.
Yeah. Apparently, yeah, this movie was made twice in 2 years.
I remember watching a movie that was a lot like this, but I
Well.
like this one better.
Somebody lost that dare.
So I don't remember if it was that or Would You Rather. Which Would You Rather is kind of the same kind of concept.
Yeah.
Which again is taking a game that young people play and making it more than that. So I like that's what I say. I like the concept.
Yeah, I mean it's a good like one-line concept, which is probably why the synopsis is so short
Right.
on the back of the DVD. But it just is not that needed more development.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
where like a lot of horror movies like are now. There's not a lot of like
There's not enough meat to it.
there's not enough creativity. There's not enough people that really have something to say.
Yeah.
That's why when you get something like Hereditary or Talk to Me, it's like, oh well, okay, there's some meat
Right.
to the bones here. Or even like Beau is Afraid. Like I didn't like it, Ari Aster, who made Hereditary and Midsommar, which I didn't really like it. I mean, it's kind of like a horror movie, but still I respect, okay, they went there. He's going there. He's doing...
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's still, at least I can recognize that there's something that's being explored, some personal experience or demons that are kind of being exercised on screen. Because really, man, that's what art should be. Now, this is just
Like lazy
for
art.
this kind of movie to work, it needs to be more skillfully made.
Yes, I agree.
If you're not going to explore, that's why the Final Destination comparison, I think, is the best one.
Yeah, because Final Destination definitely is 100 times better.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not really trying to say anything. It's just like, have fun. We're going to kill a bunch of people,
Yeah.
and you're going to probably go, you know.
Right.
So.
Well, and that's what I say. Like, yes, I liked it. I will say, I think maybe it wasn't as fun as I remember it being the first time, and maybe that is because I noticed little things about it that's like, that could be better. And
It's
things
good that
like
you're
that.
noticing that stuff.
Right, exactly. Or it's not, because now I can't just be dumb and watch TV. Now I have to be like, oh, Josh would hate this because of this.
I'm just warming my way in.
I know, but
Like
watching it, I definitely thought you were going to hate it. So, I mean, I knew ahead of time. Like I said, I still enjoyed it. I don't know that I'll ever watch it again. Like, 2's probably good.
I think that's good.
1 would have been fine.
Probably.
Yeah.
One's good enough for me.
Right.
I like that we should change the podcast to Real Opposites, or the Cinematic Education of Aaron.
There you go.
Yeah, it's real opposites. Not you will still hate it, but I've definitely seen the 2017 one. I was just like looking into it. I like the 2017 one better than this one. It's a very similar premise. I like the ending better.
Maybe I did see the 2017, and that's why I thought the ending was different.
No.
Maybe is the ending?
I don't
I don't
remember.
remember.
I just didn't think it was that ending. There wasn't like a certain one I had in mind. I just didn't think it ended like
The
that.
2017 is like a lower budget, like sci-fi movie,
Yeah.
but like the scares are better. It's like it's got a more narrow scope. Kids who rent a haunted house and they play truth or dare in the haunted
okay.
house, and it's
Okay.
like
That's also what this movie needed. We needed like a good setting.
yeah.
Like they kind of have it with the ruins or whatever, but I don't feel like I ever really got a chance to see the ruins.
Right.
It's all just in mediums and close-ups, and I don't know.
And it's all
boring to
filmed
look
in
at.
like one room, basically. Like it's all filmed in that one house, basically. I think it's just a narrower scope, and it's better for this kind of movie.
Yeah. Yeah. I think
2017 one. Check it out.
also going into more about the history of why I mean, they did a little bit, but I don't know. Maybe that could have been deeper, or they could have had to be at the ruins more, or something like that.
Yeah, I mean something. I think sometimes writers kind of get stuck in their like going down a path, and they don't stop to go backwards a little bit and then take a different path to get to the end. And I think that's something that happened here.
Right. Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean,
Well, Aaron, what are some things that like you liked about it besides the deaths?
I liked some of the deaths, and I'd like Lucy Hale's character. And I would say the only other character that you could even feel for a little bit was Brad Chang with his cop dad and all of that, and then him having to make him beg for it. Like, that was probably the only person that I was like, man, that kind of sucked that he just died. I don't know. Just
Yeah, I mean, well, like I said, like they're all interchangeable. I kind of like I remember that. Like he's gay, right? And his dad was
he was made to come out to his dad via the game, and then he was made to force his dad to beg for his life.
That would have been something like if the dares had been more personal,
right? Exactly.
Like that would have been There's a lot of ways you could go with this concept. It's just they choose to go the most superficial, dumb route.
Very surface level.
Yeah, I mean, it has nothing really to say or explore about why do we keep things to ourselves? Why don't we tell our friends how we really feel or something like
yeah, I think
you can still work in some deaths.
Oh, exactly.
You know, it just doesn't.
I think the only one that really even had some of that is, well, I guess two, is Brad, and then Olivia, Lucy Hale's character, because she did have the secrets from, like, hers were kind of moral secrets from her best friend kind of thing. So she did have that a little bit, but I feel like they still didn't delve deep enough into it to make it a deep thing.
No, it's all just surface level.
Yeah. But had they explored their friendships, that's another thing, I think. A little bit more character development and more exploration into the friendships themselves would make the dares and the truths matter to you.
Yeah, I mean, that's why like they're all interchangeable because they all act kind of the same. They don't really like all all the men in the picture. Like, I remember I'm looking at the wrong one. I'm looking at Candyman.
Not gonna find there.
Anyway, the gay kid that was.
Yeah, Brad Chang.
Like, I remember that, but everyone else is.
Mm-hmm.
They all are just kind of 20-something model looking.
Yeah,
dudes. So
I agree, especially with the guys.
Yeah, and I remember, like, I have a photographic memory. I remember faces, but I don't remember anybody.
Yeah,
out of this movie, because they don't. I mean, they all just look the same. That's kind of the problem with like so many big budget movies is they just all cast the same look for everyone.
Right.
So it's hard to distinguish who's what. Whereas I think, if you go back 30 or 40 years ago, like, people just looked like
people.
Like, they had imperfections, they had wrinkles, they had, their hair wasn't perfectly made and didn't look like they had spent 3 hours in makeup.
Right.
I mean, that's required for some movies and some stories, but it just takes me out of it a little bit.
I get that completely. I even got confused a couple times on some of the guys. Like,
yeah, I couldn't remember any of the guys.
Like, I was like, now which one is that?
So what I mean by, like, there's not much thought put into the visual style of the film is you have to, like, it goes down to costume design, production design. It's not just cinematography.
Right.
So you have to distinguish each character. So you need them in different colors, or that color needs to mean something, different hair, different, skin color, whatever.
Right.
They need to be
They need to be their own character.
They need to be their own character, just so visually I can say that's that person, that's that person.
Exactly.
They're standing there, and like the whole movie just feels gray to me. Like I feel like there was like washed out. Like as this like, so when they shoot digital, it's a flat image. Like there's no contrast, there's no real color. It's very flat and gray. And what they do in post is they color correct it. And they add more highlights here or there in a corner or whatever. So that's why it looks, the digital will end up looking, they try to mimic film to a certain extent. Because with film, it's generally what you see is what you get. And you can apply filters or you can do a chemical process in post-production to however you want it to look.
Yeah.
And it feels like somebody just forgot to color correct the film. It just feels like all flat and gray.
All one color, basically.
Yeah.
Sometimes that takes you out of the movie too. You were talking about, looking perfect all the time. Mm-hmm. Something like this, you're running from a demon spirit of some sort.
Yeah.
But everybody looks perfect constantly.
Yeah. I mean,
and it's like, that's not how I would look.
Nobody's like, I feel like nobody's like tripping and scratching themselves.
Right.
Or like, I mean,
all my friends are dying. First of all, my hair's probably not going to be perfect.
Yeah, and your makeup's going to be running.
Right.
You've probably been crying because you just saw your friend die or something. It's like,
I will say, I also think that was something this movie was missing, was emotion for the people that were dying.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I didn't care because I didn't
like it was
know
just
them.
moving on to the next. They didn't care either. Why would I?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Everybody's like, oh, it's a bummer Jimmy died.
Yeah. They're like, I hope I'm not
what do you
next.
want to do tonight? Like, you want to go catch some Asian dinner? Like, go to the Chinese place?
Right.
Catch some Asian dinner.
I'm sorry.
Catch it.
I love that.
Catch some Asian dinner.
I mean, Asian food is a thing.
Yeah.
It was just the way you said it was pretty funny. Like
catching a movie or
I just pictured him out fishing on a
like
dock.
a cannibal.
What?
I think he's discussing being a cannibal. We should be aware.
The other thing that you said was how everybody looks the same.
Mm-hmm.
And I get that. That's how I felt about the guys. That's how I felt. My friend Tiffany made me watch Housewives. I don't know.
Like the reality show?
Yeah.
Yeah, they all just like Botox and plastic surgery.
Yeah, I was constantly being like, now which one's this? They all literally looked the same. They had the same surgeon, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And most of them had blonde hair, white women. It was like, I didn't know. I couldn't keep up. I love reality TV, but that is a reality show I could not keep up with because there was so much drama, in quotes,
and they all look
thrown
alike.
in,
and
they all look alike. So I don't know who's mad at who for what.
When they start fighting, you're like, who's that? Oh, okay, that's them. Same
so
thing.
that takes you out if you don't have your characters defined enough. Even in reality TV, I mean, they have to have their own personalities. They have to have. If not, it's just such a blur. And I agree. This movie has that.
Yeah.
100%.
I'm glad we agree. Yeah, truth or dare.
Yeah, I guess that kind of does bring us. I mean, like I said, of course I liked it.
Mm-hmm.
You did not. But I think you're right, and there's not enough meat there to really have a lot of discussion about it. I think we've talked about some of the same stuff over and over, just with some better insight.
Yeah.
But it still calls us to talk about some things, some film history and stuff like that. So
Yeah, or just some techniques that they probably should have employed.
Yeah. So next time, Bloomhouse, if you need advice,
be sure
just give us a
in here.
shout. We have a Facebook.
Also, don't market your movie by the producer of.
Yeah, they do that a lot anymore.
I hate that.
I was gonna say, I see that all the time.
I just made we paid the money to make this film. Like,
I get if it's like a production company like Bloomhouse or A24, but sometimes they'll say, from producer Joel Silver or something like that.
Yes.
It's like most people, I know who Joel Silver is, or I know who Gail Ann Hurd is, but like most people don't.
Yeah,
most people don't even know what a producer does.
I get it if you constantly turn out fire. So, like, I like most of Blumhouse's movies, but there's some
stinkers.
There's some garbage in there. It's like, I like most of A24 stuff. I'm sure they've made some garbage also. So it's like, you're a production company. Essentially, you're like, this is our team, but mostly you throw money at creative teams that you hire. Like, you don't really have a role. You're just good at picking talent.
Yeah, I mean, you say, here, green light, here's $8 million. Like, it's not really. I mean, you could have said whatever movie he made. Like, I would just say from the director of blah blah blah. Like, instead
Happy Death Day.
He didn't make Happy Death Day.
Oh, what's Happy Death Day? It said Happy Death Day on the back.
That's
a Blumhouse.
Oh, the Blumhouse produced. Yeah.
Happy Death Day is good.
And Get Out.
Happy Death Day is a good example of one of these movies that has something to say. It takes a premise, and then it explores that character's reaction to the premise. And I mean, I did not expect to watch Happy Death Day, and I was really moved in a couple scenes.
Yeah, I was surprised by you saying you liked that movie.
And I was like, wow, this is a really good. And I
loved it,
and I thought the second one was great too. I hope they make a third one. I
kind of want to go back and watch those. I haven't seen them but once each.
They're great. I really enjoy them. And she's Jessica Roth. She's a really great little actress. Like, I think she's great in those movies.
Yeah.
Like, she pulls off the kind of catty vibe very well, but then she can turn on the really sincere stuff when she's really feeling it. And
I agree.
And she doesn't. I mean, clearly she's beautiful, but she doesn't look like she just stepped out of a magazine.
Right. She's like next door girl.
Yeah, she has a unique look. That's like her face is unique, and I could easily see her in like a 70s or 80s slasher movie. And
unfortunately, the director of this movie does not have a lot to his name that's worth bragging about.
Yeah, I mean, he made
He's got Fantasy Island. His Kick-Ass 2 was unnecessary. Just out the gate.
The first one.
I like the first one.
I don't like Matthew Vaughn. He's the director. I liked his first couple.
Jeff Wadlow was involved, but yeah, Jeff Wadlow doesn't have a lot to recommend him.
No, probably because he's a hack. Try harder, Jeff Wadlow.
Try harder. Get a better script next time.
Hopefully he's not listening.
Well, hopefully he is, because that's the important thing about
you're going to educate
constructive criticism.
That's true too.
Is that movie?
I don't know that Get Good is constructive criticism.
Well, we're talking about why the movie
before that was
do better. I mean, I feel like we've talked about why the movie doesn't work, and clearly, I mean, the movie had a super low overall Rotten. Not that Rotten Tomatoes matters, but the consensus from audiences and critics was very, very, very negative.
Yeah.
So maybe you should take that as a sign to maybe the next movie I should put more of myself in there, or lay bare something that I have to say.
Yeah.
Instead of just
of
going
course,
through the motions.
Other than just offering advice, I mean, if you do listen, you're welcome to come on the podcast and we can talk movies.
Yeah, totally. Come on the podcast. We'll eviscerate your Fantasy Island movie.
Oh, okay. I just meant we could just discuss things nicely.
I mean, we'll discuss things nicely. I mean, critics and directors used to have
a say.
They used to have a discussion.
Yeah.
Pauline Kael and De Palma were they talked and influenced each other, and I think that's healthy.
Yeah, that's true.
Because if someone's knowledgeable about subject and you're the artist, it's certain you have to ignore. You have to just go with what you want to do, what you're feeling. Yeah. But at the same time, listening to a knowledgeable person about or someone's just asking why did you do this in the movie? Why did you have this character do that? What does this shot mean? Or what that's
right.
I mean, I think that just encourages directors and writers to think more about why they're doing what they're putting on screen.
Right. That makes sense.
So I think, and in the critical, we don't have people like, not that I was a huge fan of her, but like Pauline Kael or Ebert or Andrew Saris, like those people just aren't around anymore.
Right.
What you end up with is people largely have been raised on like popular films from the last 40, 50 years.
Yeah.
And they don't really go much further than that. And their discussion, quote unquote, about the film is very surface level, like,
Well, I think basically what we're saying is, if you're a director or a production company and you need some outside view and someone to screen your movies, we're here for that.
Totally.
Totally, yeah.
I would love that.
We have opinions.
We definitely have opinions. I don't want to see a bad movie. I want to watch a good movie.
Right, for sure.
I didn't want this to suck because I don't want to sit there for an hour and 45 minutes and go, this sucks.
That's unfortunate for you that you were in this podcast.
I know.
Sorry about that.
But yeah, I want every movie to succeed. I don't want to go to the theater and plunk down $12 and be like, man.
And not like it.
Oh, Indiana Jones, I was feeling it there. But,
yeah, I saw that one. It was bad.
Yeah.
I didn't like
it. Didn't cut you as deep, though, because you didn't know.
Right, yeah.
Because that was your first Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
That's the most depressing thing ever.
I know. Yeah, last night somebody was talking about John Wick 4. And it must not have been last night. I wasn't around anybody. Sometime somebody was talking about John Wick 4 and how it was.
It was your cat.
It was my cat.
I want to see this movie. We can make this movie.
We have been thinking about making a movie.
CPL presents Aaron and
his
Binks.
cat.
Aaron and Binks.
Aaron and Binks.
Fantastic adventure. So yeah,
You do have the ghost cat in your house, so there's that.
This is true.
Sure.
So yeah, I guess that brings us to the end for sure of Truth or Dare. So we'll go to some commercials from the library, and then we'll come back and discuss
Candyman.
Hi there, podcast listeners. This is Kendall with Youth Services at SCPL, bringing you an update about our October programming. We are very excited that spooky season is here once again, and we will be featuring some fun, festive story times throughout the month. You can join us on Tuesdays at 10:30 for our Spanish story time, or on Thursdays, also at 10:30, for our Words and Wiggles program. And both of these story times are ideal for children from birth through about age 5, great for toddlers, babies, preschoolers, and we just have a lot of fun reading and dancing and playing instruments, and we hope we'll see you there. We also have some great teen programs scheduled for this month. Our Teen Territory meets on Wednesdays in Auditorium A from 3:30 to 4:30. And please note that this is a time change. We were previously meeting at 4, but we moved it back to 3:30 so that we can have more of our teens join us for more of the program. But we will be starting out on the 4th of October doing some DIY spooky stickers and potions. We'll be learning about solar eclipses on October 11th. On October 18th, we are thrilled to welcome a guest speaker, L.J. Fairless of Snodgrass Funeral Homes, to speak about his career in a somewhat non-conventional industry. And we are sure you will be dying to meet him. Just kidding. Anyways, and then finally, on the 25th of October, we are having a Halloween party for our teens. Again, 3:30 to 4:30, entitled Monster Mash, where we will do some fun trivia related to the holiday, play some games, and even read some spooky stories by flashlight. 2 other big things to mention. We have our Lego night returning on Tuesday, October the 10th, starting at 6:30. Or 6 o'clock, I'm sorry. And that is a great time for kids to come in and build Legos together, meet new friends, bring old friends. You can build whatever your imagination desires or build along with our spooky theme. And finally, we are having Trick or Treat at the library on Tuesday, October the 24th. starting at 6:30. You can test drive your costume a week before Halloween and come trick-or-treat throughout the library. We will have several stops with our SCPL staff, as well as some great community partners joining us to make a wonderful evening for all of our little ones. So we hope you'll stop by and see us sometime during October. And I'm going to pass it over to Toby for your adult programs.
Hi guys. So the first thing we have coming up in October is on October 2nd, we have Intro to Mushrooms, Foraging and ID for Beginners at 6 p.m. and that will be brought to us by some of the members of the West Virginia Mushroom Club. Reminder that SCPL is closed on the 9th for Indigenous Peoples Day. On October 10th at 3 p.m., so an early afternoon program for adults, we will be making Rope Ghost. On the 16th at 5:30, we will have a mini stained glass lamp program where we will be making our own stained glass lamps. On the 23rd, we will be discussing our book club book for the month, California Golden, at 6 p.m. If you would like to pick up the book anytime this month, you can come by and pick up the book. And for right now, that's all we have for the month of October, though I'd like to throw out a little reminder that on October 14th, we do have our annular solar eclipse, and you'll be able to see that. Make sure you have your eclipse glasses and get ready to watch that. That's on a Saturday, so that's exciting. And it will be from 11:45 to 2:30 p.m. will be the time which the eclipse is happening. Okay, guys, see you on the next episode.
All right, so we're back from those announcements from the library, and we're going to go ahead and jump straight into Josh's pick, Candyman.
Yes, the immortal Candyman from 1992. So I'm going to read the VHS synopsis first before we kind of dive in. I love this movie. I'm really excited to talk about it. And we're definitely going to say Candyman 5 times throughout this whole podcast.
That's true. But it was no mirror.
I should have brought a mirror.
Yeah.
Give me a second. Let me go out. Is there not a mirror in here anywhere?
No.
Stand in front of the mirror, turn off the light, and chant the word Candyman 5 times. Then he'll appear behind you, if you believe. A children's ghost story comes to terrifying life in this gut-wrenching thriller about a graduate student whose research into modern folklore summons the spirit of the dead. Helen Lyle laughs when she interviews college freshmen about their superstitions. But when she hears about Candyman, a slave spirit with a hook hand who is said to haunt Chicago's notorious Cabrini Green housing project, she thinks she has a new twist for this thesis. Braving the gang-ridden territory to visit the site of the brutal murder, Helen arrogantly assumes Candyman can't really exist until he appears, igniting a string of terrifying, tragic slayings. But the police don't believe in monsters, and they charge Helen with the grisly crimes, and only one person can set her free. Candyman.
Nice.
So anyway, that's the VHS synopsis.
So why did you pick it?
So much better than the Truth or Dare. 2 sentences. Boom house. So why I picked Candyman? Candyman is I pretty much watch it every year. Every October.
Yeah.
I probably have for the last, 10 or 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
I just think it gets better every time I watch it. I love Clive Barker, and he works in the space that kind of wants to make you uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And pushes you into situations you wouldn't really think you'd see in a horror movie to a certain extent.
Right.
And I mean, just the filmmaking in the movie, I think is really terrific. I just love the concept of the film. And this is the kind of movie where, similar to Truth or Dare, you have a concept, like the synopsis, but what the film does with that and what it explores is why it's become a classic horror film.
Right.
Because it's not just about Candyman killing people or her, what she's seeing. And it reveals more each time you see it. You can see whether, what is you can look at it more objectively and see, is this really happening? What is she perceiving and what's really happening? I mean, I love the Philip Glass score. It's a perfect contrast to the cold steel, and concrete of the film, because so much of it does take place in Cabrini Green.
Yeah.
And then, when it gets very romantic when she sees Candyman, it gets very melodic. I mean, the whole score is pretty melodic, but it has a more warm feel to it. I love how they set and the score has a gothic feel. Like it feels like it's being played in a church organ almost, and that's a really great contrast to the setting. It's not in some castle in Transylvania. It's in a very derelict part of a major metropolitan city. And there's a thing like in the 90s, starting in the very early 90s, I think, with like People Under the Stairs, which I don't know if you've ever seen. It's a Wes Craven movie.
I don't think I have. I know about it.
It's really good. It kind of can blend in a little bit more comedy at times. But it's still about traditional horror tropes and subtext and putting them in a more modern setting, like in African American communities.
Right.
And then later, like you had Tales from the Hood, which is an anthology, but it's still
really like, and I need to rewatch. I've only seen it once, I think.
Yeah, it's really terrific. It's a lot of fun. The stories are varied, and I always remember the one with David Allen Greer where he's like an abusive father, and like it deals with things within reality that
right, exactly.
It's not just for entertainment, even though it's very entertaining.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I like how the movie talks about generational trauma of slavery, like how it affects the African Americans in the Cabrini Green, even so far as like when Helen and Bernadette show up, like they're even Bernadette, played by Casey Lemons, is black, and they even are not trusting of her,
right?
Like it's not just it's and that right there is saying there's more. It's an educational and a societal status that they're untrusting of, because they've been. You can look at them like they're just the remnants of 100 years ago of slavery, and that society has locked them off into this, almost prison, and so it's put them in like fight or flight kind of status,
right?
So they try to intimidate anything new that comes into that situation. I think so. There was some controversy about like I'm just going on and on. Sorry. What do you think, Aaron?
No, go ahead with your controversy.
Go ahead with the controversy, and then we'll get back to Aaron's thoughts.
But I mean, like there was some things like when it came out that, it's a movie about it deals with issues central to the African American experience, but the protagonist is a white woman.
Yeah.
But I think that allows the film to look at white privilege to a certain extent.
Right.
Like if anybody else had been assaulted, like if anybody that lived at Cabrini Green had been assaulted in that bathroom or whatever, I think even one of the kids
overlooked.
Yeah, I mean nobody really cares, but a white woman gets assaulted, and it's like they say they swept the whole building, and to get these guys for the lineup, and it just I think it's important to have that to highlight the discrepancy between like her and the inhabitants of Cabrini Green. So yeah, I love the movie. I think it's beautiful and creepy, and I find new things each time to enjoy about it. So, what did you think, Aaron?
Well,
I always imagine you when you say that, like you're kicking your feet up, you're getting your pipe out.
Let me start this discussion in my robe with my pipe. Nah, I liked it. I liked it a lot. I'm glad I finally have seen it, because it's been something I've always meant to watch, and I just don't.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is like an essential horror film. Like if you love horror films, you need to see Candyman. Right.
And especially because I think I told you, I don't know if it was on here or not, I can't remember, but that we were really mean to my cousin who didn't. I can't remember. Was that on the podcast last time? Okay. So I've always wanted to see it because of that too, because I didn't understand why she was so scared. She was like super scared because she had seen this movie at some point. And it's definitely creepy. I mean, I could see that now, and man, were we mean, but
hey, you didn't know.
But now the only thing I will say that it kind of confused me for a little bit towards the end was she just seeing things, and like, was it her all along doing the killings? Or was there actually Candyman doing the killings?
So I think you can look at it more literally, or like you look at it either way. I think so you could look at it to where she doesn't see Candyman until she's assaulted in the bathroom and is knocked in the head with that guy's hook, the blunt side of it. And then she starts seeing Candyman, and she, has like spells. Well, she'll forget where she was. She wakes up in this woman's apartment. She's killed a dog,
Right.
and the baby's missing, and there's a lot you can read into it. I think that's probably the best way to look at it to a certain degree.
Okay. That's kind of how I watched it. To me, it was Candyman was a figment of her imagination.
Yeah, I mean, it could still be
maybe
like,
she was killing, but then you get to the end with the fire, and they show like a body burning. So I didn't know if everybody was seeing that or if it was just her that was seeing that.
yeah. I mean, I think that's where the movie is. You can take it either way.
Right.
I mean, and I like that. I like that. I think you can read into her psychology. So I think from the start, like she visits her husband, who's a teacher, and it's pretty clear right away, like he's cheating on her,
Right.
like with the student. And she sees that. She sees right through it. And that's what I like. She's an intelligent, educated woman.
Yeah.
Like she's not putting up with any of this stuff. So I think she creates this like forbidden love in Candyman because now she knows the story because his friend has now told her the whole story of what the folklore behind it. So she knows that he had an affair with a white woman back in the, I'm guessing the 1860s or something, and they had a baby. Or she was pregnant. I can't remember either way. So I think all that's entering her subconscious. And then when she, she's hit in the head, she kind of assumes the role to a certain degree. Like it's how she's coping with her trauma
Right.
from what's going on in her marriage. But then you can also just read it literally. Like there's really a Candyman. He's really hypnotizing her and like making her do his bidding. But you can also look at it like more subtextually that that's how folklore works. Like that,
Right.
it kind of gets under your skin, and there's certain things in the stories that makes them memorable, makes them kind of sit there in the back of your head. So I think that's what the movie is ultimately talking about. But on the literal level, I think that she's probably this is in her head, and then by the end, she assumes the role. She's the new Candyman.
See, that's how I thought because then at the very end, she
see
comes
the big
back
mural on the wall,
and she kills her husband.
She kills her husband, which I think is a big moment because he's a dirtbag.
Yeah, but at the same time, it that ending makes it seem like okay, then maybe Candyman was real because she's dead at that point.
Yeah, I mean, she's
so
dead.
There has to be.
Yeah, and I mean, I think
and
I think there's some, or you could look at it that her subconscious is haunting him and he killed himself or something.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's doubtful, but I think to a certain, like there is a Candyman in the movie.
Yeah.
You can read it either way. Like I think she's doing the killings. Like she abducted the baby.
I think
she
so
killed the
too.
dog. And I mean, it's a ghost story to a certain degree. So when she enters his lair in the Cabrini Green, there's bees and everything, and so I think that's happening to her, whether it's real or not.
Right.
And I like that it's like, the folklore never really dies. Like she's now the new.
Right, exactly. Yeah, and that was a little confusing for me, but it wasn't the kind of confusing that took me out of the movie or made me not like it. It still was like, okay, it could be this or it could be this, and I could see it both ways the whole time I was watching the movie.
Yeah, I think that's good writing.
And that's what I was going to say. I think it's good because that's one of those movies where, and this is what I think a really good movie does, is lets the audience take it the way they want to take it.
Yeah, you bring to the film, like what you bring to the film is how you see the film.
Exactly.
So, I mean, I think that's really good art, and I think that's revealing. Like some people didn't like that it was a white protagonist that wasn't the white. They didn't like certain elements that they were. Because I think Bernard Rose, the director, like when they were going to make the movie, he went to I think the NAACP and like had a meeting with local in Chicago, I think, leaders in the community, and because the studio was like, I don't know if we want to do this. Like this is not exactly casting them in the best light, and the African American community, like the leaders they went to, they were like, yes, show this. This is what's happening. This is what it's like to live in these slum houses, more or less. And I mean, so I think you can look at it. I mean, you bring what you bring to it.
Right.
You get out of it what you bring to it. So if you're coming at it from a really hostile Like, I don't like to see the negative depictions of anybody on screen. Well,
Yeah.
we're not all sunshine and roses.
Right, exactly. Yeah, and I think, like you said, they wanted it shown, and obviously, I would want it, if it was me, I would want that shown 100%.
Yeah,
Because it's great when art can bring to the surface a social issue.
yeah, and I mean, even kind of getting away from this film, but the sequel that they made a couple of years ago, it's like a direct sequel to this. So the baby, it's about him. Like he's.
Okay.
I thought it was a really terrific film. I did not expect
the newest
the
one?
new one.
Okay.
And it still is dealing with the same issues because they're still relevant.
Exactly. Everything still exists.
And I think there's definitely like a timeless quality to Candyman. You know, there's no cell phones and there's no this or that, but it still, I mean, sadly feels real. And I think, I mean, as great as Tony Todd is as Candyman, he's only like in the movie for like 8 minutes, I think.
Altogether.
Yeah, but oh my God, his voice is amazing.
I know. I like him a lot.
Like,
He's also in Final Destination.
Yeah, he's in Final Destination. He's been in. I mean, it's kind of because he was a Shakespearean actor, like on stage and like very, classically trained. And it kind of happens to some people where they'll get into a horror movie like him or Doug Bradley from Hellraiser, and they kind of get typecast
from then on.
Yeah, and they are not allowed to do other
work,
which is sad because he's a really good actor and he really has a lot of great screen presence and his voice is amazing. And I like that Candyman isn't a monster in the traditional sense. Like he's a attractive, tall black man.
Right.
I mean, he has a hook for a hand, so it's a bloody hook.
Well, it's where he was done wrong.
Yeah, but I mean, like, he's not grotesque.
Right.
He had a terrible thing happen to him that and he's out for vengeance, and you get that. Like the spirit lingers, wanting revenge.
Like I said, I enjoyed it. I thought it was good. Of course, like you were saying, Tony Todd's great.
But also, sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
I was wanting to say like how great Virginia Madsen is.
That's what I was going to say too.
How she's the film.
Yeah.
And she's really, really terrific.
Yeah. She does great in that role.
She totally sells she's a great actress anyway, but like she really sells the like unsure of what's happening to her.
Right.
Because she doesn't know this is like what happened. I don't remember doing any of this.
Yeah. And it leads into that ambiguousness of what's really happening, like I was talking about. And I don't know. I think that's a thing that I like about this film is you can take so much from it. And there is a lot to take from it. It does have heart to it. It has meaning behind it.
Yeah, it's not just empty gore.
Yeah, but the gore was good.
Yeah, I mean,
gore was also good in it.
And the little bit of gore, like the dog's head and
the blood everywhere during that.
Casey Lemon's Bernadette when she's killed.
Yeah,
and you see it like hours later, and she's drained of any color. And
right,
she's like gray, and like those are like it's memorable.
Yeah.
Like, because I like those characters. I've gone, I haven't spent a lot of time with her. Just the way they react to situations, I buy who they are.
Yeah, I know. I was sad when they killed Bernadette.
Yeah, and I like her a lot, and I like, I mean, her, and like the woman, the mother of the baby, and nobody really feels like a cardboard cutout to a certain degree. Like I feel like there's still enough underneath each character to get really invested in. But the gore does really stand out because there's really not a lot of it in the movie if you just look at it.
Right.
But when it hits, it's like it's really bright crimson red.
Yes.
And it really sticks with you. Like I love the image of her husband.
That's what I was going to say.
End, like in the bathtub.
I mean, there's blood everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, he is.
It's great.
Well, I'm glad you got your bloodlust quenched in this one.
Yes, I definitely did. But that's the thing is, in this movie, it doesn't use gore to tell the story. No. I mean, gore is just because that's what happened.
Yeah, and I mean,
thing.
And like nothing as much as I love Nightmare on Elm Street. Like nobody's like falling into a bed and just gushes up blood.
Yeah,
and it looks like someone just gutted someone.
All right. It looks like that's what happened.
Yeah. And it really grounds the film. So a funny little bit of trivia was when either Casey Lemon's Bernadette or Virginia Madsen Helen see Candyman, director Bernard Rose actually hypnotized them.
Oh, wow.
I don't even know if it's in the trivia. I was listening to the commentary, and Virginia Madsen's talking about how it was really weird because she could like almost be on the outside and see, like, feeling that this is ridiculous, this is happening, but at the same time she was just like can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
And then you watch those scenes, like especially the first time in the parking garage when she sees Candyman. The look in her eyes is very like it looks like she's just under his spell.
Yeah.
And because she's being hypnotized.
Oh wow.
So that's a cool
that's awesome.
it's a cool little bit of trivia. And I just feel like that level of commitment from everyone involved, I really feel that.
Yeah. I love that they used real bees.
Oh yeah, and they're coming out of his mouth.
Yeah.
And stuff. And it's
and,
like, oh.
And they were bred specifically for the movie because they needed to make sure that the bees were only 12 hours old so that they looked like mature bees, but that they weren't powerful enough to do any actual damage.
If they stung.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like that. And the gore is fine for me, but like the bees coming out of his mouth, it's like, oh my God. I don't know what they paid you for this movie, but it was not enough.
It was worth it.
But mouthful of bees in, and then like they kind of kiss after that too. And yeah, that's a scene. But I mean, I love how even the opening shot, like with the bees descending on Chicago, and it's like, and just like this weight is already there at the start of the movie of the whole city, the whole United States is this, like you can't outrun the trauma you've inflicted on a race of people, you know. So yeah, it's a great.
And it was good that they couldn't do much damage because in an interview he said he was stung 26 times during
Oh my goodness.
The space of the Candyman trilogy.
And he negotiated a bonus of $1,000 for every bee sting.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's awesome.
Good for him.
Part of me's like, I don't know. I'll get stung.
Yeah. But they also hurt.
They do. I got stung like
$1,000
4 times a couple months ago, and I was like, God.
Me too. I was doing yard work, and
Yellow
yes,
Jackets, but,
it was Yellow Jackets.
But like, so I got stung on my left arm and my left leg.
Mm-hmm.
Those got really swollen. Right side didn't get swollen at all.
You're just allergic on one side of your body.
So.
Which I think bee stings are less painful than Yellow Jackets. I'm pretty sure.
Are they? Okay. It's been so long since I've been stung. I was like,
Well, you don't get stung by an actual bee that much.
No, because they're generally pretty docile. Like they just want to go about their business. And Yellow Jackets are a little bit.
Yeah. Which, by the way, bees are very important to life, and it's scary
we
what
need
would
bees
happen
to
if
pollinate.
we are out of bees.
Yes.
So
There's
don't kill bees unless
not really. There's no food.
Yellow Jackets okay, but
yeah,
bees no.
Yellow Jackets are just worthless. Just kill them all.
Just bye. But I like everything about this movie. I think it had, of course, the gore that hits for me. It had heart and story. It had character arc. You end up with an ending, that is good. She comes back for revenge. She gets her revenge after she's basically burned to death.
Yeah.
In that fire in the end when she's saving the baby.
I just think it's great that they saw her save the baby, and now it's almost like the Cabrini Green. It's almost like it was like that's the center point of all the energy, negative energy.
Right.
And like a haunted house. And so like the lore of a Candyman manifests in the heart of that building.
Right.
And so now that is manifested in her visage. And I just love, the music makes that sequence really great. Like where she's going into the bonfire and coming out. And then once you do like a slow zoom in on the mural where she has fire for her hair. It's
burning,
it's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it was a great scene.
You just don't really, it makes it unique because you don't see this level of commitment from the cast and crew and just the level of filmmaking in horror. It's
right. And the level of storytelling.
Yeah. You think about how much it does. Like, it's only like, I don't know, 95, 96 minutes long. It really, there's no fat on the film. Like, it's 10 minutes shorter than Truth or Dare and has a million more interesting things to say.
Yeah.
Because Clive Barker's a great horror writer, and you're bringing traditionally non-horror actors and directors into the film. Like Bernard Rose went on to make Mortal Beloved after this, which is about Beethoven with Gary Oldman.
Mm-hmm.
So he's not like a horror guy, and sometimes it's like when you come at it you bring people that aren't in the community to a certain genre, it brings something fresh and new. I definitely think that's the case here. Is it's more thoughtful than a lot of horror films.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I did like that end scene with her and the fire and everything. And what I kind of liked about it too was that she was redeemed in the eyes of the people there.
Yeah.
And because they all showed up at her funeral.
Yeah, and that's kind of a moving scene. Also, her husband bringing his girlfriend to the funeral.
Right.
Like, what? You deserve it.
Man, people...
Also, she's just like, I don't know. They never really say how long she's been in the hospital, like in the sedated. I'm imagining like maybe it's a week.
Yeah.
I don't know, something like that. And like you're already like painting
Right.
the apartment.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Already letting your new girlfriend move in and paint the apartment.
Ugh.
Yeah, that's wild.
But I don't know. I mean, I kind of like, I traditionally like more like 3-dimensionality and characters like that. But with that one, I was like, no, it's okay.
Yeah.
She's like, he's the catalyst for her unhappiness in life in a lot of ways. Like her,
for sure.
She's not able to be taken seriously as a academic, and you know, her professor husband is cheating on her and with a student, no less. And,
right.
But yeah, I like they cast Virginia Madsen. She's not someone you'd expect, really.
Yeah, I thought she was great.
She really is. And because she had typically kind of played like stuff like The Hot Spot, more of like a femme fatale kind of character. Like she's very kind of, you know, beautiful, sexy kind of woman, and so Bernard Rose, you know, he's telling her, was like, that was his concern, was that. So she just did her own makeup from what I remember, from what I understand.
Okay,
like,
that's
so
cool.
She's not like like what we were talking about before. Like she's not like gussied up and looking polished. Like she just looks
feel like she's in that part.
Yeah, I mean everything just feels like she looks like a woman. Woke up, took a shower, put a little bit of makeup on, and left the house. Like you know, did her hair
like a normal person.
Yeah, and he even had her like wanted to put a little. He wanted her to put a little bit of weight on, so she wasn't like super model-y kind of looking. And she's a pretty voluptuous woman anyway, but like, and so he showed up with a pizza.
Yeah.
every day.
That's hilarious.
And they would have pizza every day. And she talks about how she's like, I'm not an ice cream and cake girl. I'm a pizza girl.
Yeah.
And she was like, eventually he started showing up with like 5 pizzas.
That's absolutely great.
Yeah.
Which I think they also, if I remember correctly, may have put her in clothes that are a little bit bigger than what she would wear.
She's like wearing like
so that it's not like a sexy woman taking the lead kind of thing.
She's wearing like sweaters and well, I mean it's Chicago, so it's cold anyway. But she's not like, I mean, everyone just looks like normal people. Is what I was talking about in the last one. I mean, even Casey Lemons is a beautiful woman, but she's not like, she doesn't look like a supermodel. She just looks like an attractive woman that goes to a college. Like
exactly.
You know, it's like what we were saying about Tony Todd. He's not a monster. He's this handsome, tall black man.
Not what you would expect.
And there's a little note here, which I didn't notice. They were talking about the sound design a lot in the commentary, but I didn't notice it. Or they didn't mention it. That whenever he's walking, there's no sound to his footsteps.
Oh yeah.
Which is really cool. When next time I watch it, I'll definitely take note of that. Which just adds to his like ethereal.
Yeah.
How much of it's really real?
Yeah, I think so. And that's what I say is it was kind of confusing at first, but like as it went on, it made so much sense to me that it's ambiguous in that way and that you could take it any way.
Yeah, and I mean like to a certain extent, like film's not really literal. Like if you're just any film.
It doesn't have to be.
It doesn't have to be. That's the point. Like otherwise I'd watch a documentary.
Right.
Because I want to see an expression of an idea or a feeling. And it doesn't have to, like, of course, literally, there's no Candyman. Of course, literally, someone painted that mural on the wall. Like, it's not, I like to see that it's theatrical, and he's very theatrical. Like, it's almost like when he comes on, like when he first sees her, like he's walking on stage, and he's very, his glide is very theatrical. Like he's, look at me, I'm Candyman. Another little note, like the score, which I love. Philip Glass doesn't really score horror films, and he didn't realize it was a horror film when he wrote the score. He had read Clive Barker's short story that the movie's based on, but he didn't read the script. And he composed just kind of, I think, a handful of themes that they would later put in the film at various points. So when he first saw the film, I got the premiere, he was like, "Oh my God, this is like a horror film. Look at all that gore." He was taken aback.
Yeah.
I just think it's pretty interesting. I don't think he's scored another horror movie since.
That's hilarious. Now, you mentioned Clive Barker just being a good horror writer.
Oh yeah.
What else has he done?
Well, I mean, he started off as a novelist. So the Books of Blood. He wrote The Hellbound Heart, which Hellraiser is based on. He wrote and directed the first Hellraiser, and I think he wrote and produced the second one.
Okay, which I have not seen.
As far as movies go, the Hellraiser, he had nothing to do with any of the sequels past two. Candyman, Lord of Illusions.
Okay.
I don't know if you saw that one. It's a pretty good. I mean, it definitely feels like a Clive Barker. Like it's, and he's very inspired by Lovecraft, like this kind of ethereal horror, paranoia. Like it really kind of gets under your skin.
Yeah. Now, was he involved in the newest Candyman at all?
I don't believe so. No.
Oh, okay. But you said it was still good.
I thought it was really good. I thought it looked good from the trailers, and I remember like the opening titles. I was like, "Oh, okay, this is going to be something," and it really surprised me. The other sequels are trash, and you should not watch. Like they're very, they take like what was typical at the time. Like, okay, we have the horror villain, we're just bring him back,
right?
Even though at the end of the movie, Virginia Madsen is the Candyman.
Right,
like,
exactly.
Tony Todd's not Candyman, but like Tony Todd's the image everyone has in their head, so they need to bring him back.
Yeah.
That's
what I was going to ask is, could I
just
watch the new one?
Just watch the new one. Skip the other ones.
Oh, great.
I do think they make a pretty good double feature. I can't remember exactly. I think they do tackle like what happened to Helen. And that she is the new iteration of Candyman. It's been, I mean, I've seen it a couple times, but I can't remember because it's been about a year or so. But I remember just being very impressed with the whole film, and I thought it really honored the original and moving it forward, but also making it a little bit more modern. But it's still dealing with the same issues as the original film. It just feels like a nice companion piece, like a nice little epilogue to a certain degree.
I wouldn't mind to watch the
I think you should. I mean, if you like this, I definitely think you'll enjoy the new one.
Yeah, I can definitely see with this movie why it's so popular and seen as like almost like a classic horror movie. But I don't know. I thought it was also fun in a way. Like it moved well.
Yeah.
And, you know, like I said before, it had stuff to say, but it still was, I wasn't sitting there waiting for it to be over.
I mean, you still have to make an entertaining film. It still has to capture your imagination and you want to know what happens next. There's always a strong narrative progression in each scene. You know, more characters revealed, except for the husband. He's just kind of a dirtbag straight away.
Yeah. Totally.
But
and his new girlfriend doesn't seem that exciting.
No, she's like pretty boring. I was like, really? I mean, part of me is just like, Virginia Madsen. She's like really intelligent, and accomplished, and this like floozy student. And it's like, what are you doing, dude?
Yeah.
And she's not she is. She seems very loving and I don't understand that anyway. But yeah, and everyone has, you know. I mean, it's really Virginia Madsen's movie, so I mean, it's really her character that sees the most development. But I think it's a tour de force performance.
Yeah, I mean, of course, hers has the most development, but I think I feel like even the people in the back had a character that they were portraying. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like everybody had their part, and it was done well. And I was definitely not confused about who was who.
No,
there was none of that kind of stuff. And I mean, even the little boy that's in it, like,
yeah, I mean, he has
it was good.
Yeah, he's a great little guy. Like, he has a distinctive, like, his speech pattern and his look and his, like what he's saying, how he says it. Like, it's like I remember that kid. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just a really exceptionally well made film. I think it just gets better each year.
Yeah, maybe I'll have to try watching it again and see what I think. I mean, like next year or something.
Yeah,
because I could see this being one that I throw into my spooky watching.
What does your spooky watching consist of? Scream, sure.
Yeah, Scream, mostly.
Whole
Trick or
series.
Treat,
Retreat.
Trick or Treat. That's a great one.
Craft.
Craft.
I like.
The Craft is good though. I don't like
The
that
Craft-
sigh at the end of The Craft. Like it is a
I
classic.
think I was just sighing because I was just like moving
Yeah.
in my seat. I don't think.
Don't worry,
Yeah.
we'll eventually talk about the Craft.
The Craft's okay.
I'm sure. And then I like I like the like Hocus Pocus and Halloween Town, those kind of movies. I know,
That's the sigh.
but I don't know. I don't know that there's specific ones that I watch every year or anything like that.
Okay.
But I also don't only watch, like, I'm not somebody that has an October chock full of movie watching because I don't like to
Yeah.
watch movies
I
that
know you
much.
don't, yeah.
So I watch them throughout the year. So it's just spooky season all year long for me.
I mean, it's like it's in my heart all year long.
Right.
But I really let it out starting this summer.
Oh, right. Well, that's when it's acceptable
I mean,
to let it out.
And I like kind of like saving. Like I'll go see a new horror movie that's in the theaters or something, but I try to save up like Halloween, Carrie, Candyman.
Yeah.
You know, The Thing and The Mouth of Madness. Those kind of stuff. I try to save those up for when I really feel like I look outside and it's like leaves are falling and
Right.
it's
Like maybe it's
dreary,
about to happen.
rainy, and it's like this is a good time.
I mean, that's the best kind of weather.
Yeah.
And that's great movie watching weather.
It is. I mean, it's perfect, and I look forward to it like every year.
Yeah.
It's like I look forward to like my mom makes this specific dessert
Mm-hmm.
that she makes every Christmas, and I don't eat it. I don't make it the rest of the year,
Yeah.
but I will.
What is the dessert?
It's a chocolate layer dessert.
Oh, okay.
It's the
We make peanut butter. Well, my mom makes peanut butter crunch. It's like a crispy butterscotchy layer, and then like a chocolate layer that's like like
chocolate pudding or something.
no, it's like hard.
Oh,
Yeah,
like baked hard dark chocolate or
Mhm.
something.
yeah.
Oh,
I don't know. It's something my whole family makes, but it's the same
it's
thing. We
peanut butter
mainly
and
only
chocolate.
make it at Christmas. Now
Yeah.
we may make it multiple times throughout December,
yeah.
but once Christmas is over, you really don't get
No,
that
I
anymore.
like to save it up and look forward to it every year because I will
Yeah.
eat the whole thing.
Yeah.
Like when my
Oh, go ahead.
no, it was like when my dad and my grandfather were alive, she'd make one for each of us, and I'm talking like
That is great.
a like 20 by 12 pan,
Yeah.
and it's just like I think a walnut pecan crust, cream cheese, chocolate pudding, I think another layer of cream cheese, and then whipped topping, and then sprinkled pecans.
That sounds great.
Oh my god,
She might have to make one for the library.
she probably will.
Yeah.
But
But I mean, that's the same way I was where we were talking about that also with Halloween. You know, there's just a mood to it, which helps with watching. I probably watch
Yeah.
more movies in October than I do throughout the year
yeah,
as far as horror. I just watch them all around. But the same thing, my mom makes it's dirt cake, but it's a graveyard.
oh okay,
And we only really have that at Halloween.
that's cool.
Like it's just something she's made because I always threw parties since I was young for Halloween,
yeah,
and that was the big hit, and it just has become a thing. It's
that's awesome.
so when the weather gets low and all the niceness of fall happens, if it does,
Yeah, hopefully it lasts more than a week this
I
year.
know we had literally a
It's supposed to be
week.
in the 80s next week.
Yeah, it's supposed to
It's
be hot
wild.
again. So maybe
then after
it
that,
will
it's supposed to
last
cool off.
longer.
Yeah,
So,
hopefully
hopefully.
so. Because that fall weather,
It's the best.
it weirdly makes me just feel alive. Like it's.
It does.
It's
I'm
so
like-
nice. Yeah.
Like,
I
those
mean,
are-
honestly, out of all the weather like that, I feel alive on those dreary, rainy.
Yeah.
I like to
fall
go for like
days.
walks on those, like when it's like
Oh, yeah.
drizzly and out overcast. There's a little bit of mist.
Yeah,
It's like 58 degrees. It's like perfect.
and it also kind of looks like you might get murdered. You
I
know,
mean,
a little
yeah.
bit of fog or a
yeah,
little
I mean,
bit of
somebody
mist.
could
Yeah.
pop a ghost
Right.
pop out of the mist, and
Exactly.
It's a little chilly, just enough to make like your hairs.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm a fan.
Love it.
It's like
Love
hoodie
it.
weather. I can finally
Yeah.
put
Yeah.
on a hoodie and maybe some pants.
Yeah.
You know,
See,
Maybe
I,
Do you wear pants?
I don't wear pants.
I
at
don't think
all.
I've ever seen you in pants. I don't think
I
I've seen
have.
you in pants
I've
very
seen-
often.
It's happened like a handful of times.
yeah.
Um,
But
Speaking
yeah, it's. I mean, it. Like I said, it's okay to let that spooky out during
oh yeah, no, I
during
let it
that
out.
time.
I
That's
let
why
my-
people think I'm weird
Yeah.
because I shop for home decor at Halloween.
I get it.
Like, I don't usually put anything new in my home unless I get it at Halloween.
Just counting
for
down
home
the
decor.
days for Spirit Halloween to open.
That's right. That's why I get so excited because I'm like, oh my gosh, new home decor's out.
Did you see the Mars Attacks thing they had?
Yeah,
The
that's
big
great.
Alien?
It's awesome.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah,
I loved it.
pretty cool.
We need it for the library.
Okay. They can be
Replace
Steve's friend.
Steve.
Yeah.
Like $400. If someone wants to buy us a Mars Attacks alien from Spirit Halloween and then donate it to the library, that would be
We'll
excellent.
replace Steve.
Or any of them, like the Leatherface would be fine.
Yeah.
Like, you know.
But I feel like the Mars Attacks is at least like
Not as
friendly
spooky.
we could
enough.
leave that
More
out year
friendly.
round.
Yeah.
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 Who's that?
like Steve.
Who's that, Daddy? Oh, that's the guy that wears other people's faces.
Anyway.
But
That's great.
I guess speaking of traditions, we should talk about like our next episode.
Yeah, our
we
next
got
episode
coming
would be
up.
good.
Yeah. Why is it a tradition?
Oh
to
no,
talk
that's,
about
that's
our
the
next
Thanksgiving.
episode.
I was going to
Never mind.
say,
I'm
what?
backwards.
I mean, it is traditional. That is what we do at the end of every episode.
Ha ha ha.
Talk about what we're going to
I guess that's true.
I was getting it mixed up with the Thanksgiving.
That's
oh,
fine.
it is not Thanksgiving. All right, what are we doing next?
Well, so overall, you hated Truth or Dare.
With
I liked it,
with
but
a passion.
I liked it, but I saw the flaws, so that's
Yeah.
good. And we both love Candyman. It was great.
Absolutely.
So next podcast, we are going to have a guest on,
We are.
Drew, who is here as a
Work study.
work study, or works here for work study. I don't know how you would say that.
It's
But
here,
anyways.
it's here as a work study.
He's a work study employee.
He works here through the work study.
There you go.
Program.
He works here.
That's
through
a
the
lot of words. But anyways,
Just add Bloomhouse to it.
yeah, Bloomhouse says. But he's going to be on the podcast. He's never been on here with us before, but I think he did do some podcasting in high school.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. But we're gonna do a Ryan Gosling episode,
Totally.
which I love. Ryan Gosling, one of my favorite actors,
Yeah, he's great.
and I think he does a variety of things, which we're kind of going to explore.
Yeah, because you have one's it's like a musical comedy
Yeah,
/ drama. The other one's is a very, he has, I don't know how many lines in the movie.
Not
Nobody
many.
says anything.
yeah.
So we're gonna watch. Drew is picking La La Land,
Which I have not seen.
and I haven't seen for a few years.
Always wanted to see it because he's in it, but
So he's picking that for us, and then we're picking because movie me and Aaron both agree on is Drive,
mhm.
and we're picking that for Drew because he's never seen it.
Yeah.
And I was appalled when he was like, "I love Ryan Gosling." Like, oh yeah, you like
haven't seen
Drive?
Drive?
He's like, no, and I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Get out of here.
And I think those are great movies to show his versatility.
Yeah, totally.
So I think it's going to be a fun episode. I enjoy when I think I'm liking this where we kind of pick a person and do stuff some too. It's just neat. It's different than what we normally do.
And then they disappear,
Who disappears?
and then they disappear. We do stuff and they disappear.
Like we murder them?
Yeah.
I was.
What is wrong with you here today? We've gotten into cannibalism and murdering our coworkers. Like, what
definitely-
is happening?
I definitely was talking about like we had a Stephen King episode and now we're going to have a Ryan Gosling episode.
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
Sorry. I think the COVID shot is messing with me today.
I think so. Maybe.
I don't know. I'm starting to get concerned that Aaron isn't the serial killer among the two of you.
Bad news for you, Toby. We're both in here
Oh
with
God. All right. Can I?
you. Good thing you sat closest
There's
to the
a
door.
there's a premise. Podcasters are also
Serial
double team
killers.
serial killers,
Can I?
and
That's a good one.
Can I stay off of the murder list at least?
totally make that.
There is a show something like that where they accidentally befriend a serial killer and then they make him do a podcast with them.
That's great.
It's a comedy. It's good, but it has old girl from Penny from
Oh, Big Bang.
yes,
Kaylee Kuko.
Kaylee
yeah.
Kuko. Yeah,
Waka Kuko.
Kuko.
And
Kuko.
That was pretty off the rails. I think we were just wrapping up, but it happens sometimes. So yeah, so join us for the Ryan Gosling episode, which Drew will be coming onto the podcast for the first time. And yeah, watch those movies, get acquainted with them, and then we'll discuss them.
Totally.
But until next time, I'm Aaron,
I'm Josh.
and this has been The Real Opposites.